Thank you for that beautiful kirtan, Brendan and Dearwood. Yeah, so we're in Canto 4, Pastimes of Dhruva Maharaj. We're on Chapter 9. Chapter 9, title is Dhruva Maharaj Returns Home. We're going to do 2 verses today, 53 and 54. 53 is on the board, and I'll read 53, and then we'll call in response if anybody wants to recite the verse. Layamanam janar evam Dhruvam sabadratam ripa Aropya karinim hrishta Stuyamano vishatpuram Layamanam janairevam Dhruvam sabrataram nripa Aropya karinim hrishta Stuyamano vishatpuram Layamanam janairevam Dhruvam sabrataram nripa Aropya karinim rishta Stuyamano vishatpuram
Yamanam janer evam
Layamanam janerevam
Dhruvam sabrataram vipa
Dhruvam sabrataram nripa
Aropya karinim rishta
Aropya karinim rishta
Stuyamano vishatparam
Stuyamano vishatpuram
Layamanam janer evam
Layamanam janerevam
Dhruvam parataram nripaha
Dhruvam sabrataram nripa
Aropya karina nim rishtaha
Aropya karinim rishta
Stuyamano visatparam
Stuyamano vishatpuram
Yayamanam janerevam
Layamanam janerevam
Dhruvam sabrataram nripa
Dhruvam sabrataram nripa
Ropya karinyam rishta
Aropya karinim rishta
Stuyamano vishatparam
Stuyamano vishatparam. Anyone online? Hare Krishna. Word for word, Layaman.
Yayamanam
Being thus praised,
being thus praised
Janai,
Vinay
by the people in general,
by the people in general
Evam,
Evam
thus,
thus
Dhruvam,
Dhruvam
Maharaj Dhruva,
Maharaj Dhruva
Sabrataram,
Savrataram
with his brother,
with his brother
Nripa,
Nripa
the king,
the king
Aropya,
Aropya
placing,
placing
Karinim,
Karinim
on the back of a she-elephant,
on the back of a she-elephant
Rishta,
Vishta
being so pleased,
being so pleased
Stuyamana,
Stuyamanam
and being so praised,
and being so praised
Avishat,
Avishat
returned,
returned
Puram,
Puram
to his capital.
to his capital.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada. The sage Maitreya continued, "My dear Vidura, when everyone was thus praising Dhruva Maharaj, the king was very happy. And he had Dhruva and his brother seated on the back of a she-elephant. Thus, he returned to his capital where he was praised by all classes of men." I'm going to go ahead and read translation to the next verse, which is number 54. The whole city was decorated with columns of banana trees containing bunches of fruits and flowers, and betel nut trees with leaves and branches were seen here and there. There were also many gates set up, which were structured to give the appearance of sharks. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Auspicious ceremonies with decorations of green leaves of plants, coconut trees, betel nut trees, and banana trees with fruits, flowers, and leaves are age-old custom in India. To receive this great son, Dhruva Maharaj, King Uttanapad arranged a good reception, and all of the citizens very enthusiastically took part with great jubilation. Hare Krishna. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Vashachade Shatane. Hare Krishna. Yeah, there's so much going on, and even though this little part is just a little couple of verses about a ceremony, a homecoming, you know. So it's been building up, and finally Dhruva has spotted his father and his family. And you can picture this like, I always picture something like the Civil War movie I saw, or something where the son, they think he's probably dead. The father and mother's praying hard. She's praying not for him to come home or be found, but that he's being taken care of by Krishna. And she's got a strong, convicted prayer going on at home. That's been 6 months. 5-year-old boy in the woods by himself. He was disturbed because the stepmother didn't let him have what he wanted. So he's kind of got a lot of vengeance. He had a lot of vengeance. Stormed out of the house. He's 5 years old. He's in the woods. Nobody went after him. So his spiritual master, Narada Muni, has sent a messenger to the king, his father, and said, he's doing okay, he's coming home. So the father gathers up all the energy, the whole kingdom, the castle, everybody is talking, because they all were talking about how the stepmother did him wrong. And you can imagine the gossip in the town and the castle. The kingdom was now, in this sort of negative state of mind, because they couldn't believe that you would treat a son like that. But then at the same time, Dhruva went out so determined. He's got more determination than I've ever read about. So he determined to have God give him what he wanted, which is a kingdom bigger than his father's, bigger than his grandfather, and bigger than his great-grandfather, Brahma. So he's asking for a lot, and he's so focused and fixed, like we can be when we really want something, right? So he's meditating on Krishna, and he's meditating so much on the form that the Krishna shows up in front of him. So now he had a spiritual master, Narada Muni. So Narada Muni told him he should probably just go home, but he stayed in the forest, and he's reached this level of self-realization because Krishna gave it to him, because of his determination. So we've got the mother and Dhruva praying, and then finally, this has been going on for verse after verse, and it kept talking about humility and how he felt so ashamed of what he'd gone in the forest for. He felt so much shame that he was dragging that around for quite a few, 10 or 12, 15 verses. He was just, I can't believe I did that. I went to God for all the wrong things. And so we go to God there's 4 reasons we go to God, but his was like, he was just disturbed. He was angry. He felt so off balance that he didn't go because he was searching for truth. He didn't go, he found some, but that's not what he started out doing. And all of his stages kind of touch on those 4 ways that we find God: for money, for wealth, or to solve our problems like that, or distress. Dhruva was distressed, and so he went out of his distress to look for God because he wanted this kingdom. Now he chanted so hard, and he chanted Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, the same chant that we just did before class. So God appears to him. Krishna's there right in front of him. And of course, if Krishna were to appear in front of any of us, I would be so embarrassed of my life that I don't know what I'd say, fall to the ground like Dhruva did. And so Dhruva spends some time lamenting over what he started out to do and how that shame came up. Now he's reached, Krishna touched him on the forehead and he's with the conch shell. And so he's fully knows all the Vedas. So he's coming home. Here he comes down the path out of the woods. Meanwhile, back at the palace, everybody's getting ready. So it's a huge celebration in the Vedas. A lot of celebrations are described, and we just had 2 huge celebrations out at Prabhupada's house this past weekend. And we just had our little group, but we can imagine if all of Gainesville and Melrose and Hawthorne and Keystone Heights had all gotten together to welcome Krishna's birthday, right? So just in our little celebration, you can see that when we're making garlands and cooking prasadam and reading from Krishna book and everyone's chanting and the house is abuzz and the yard's abuzz and probably the whole neighborhood's glowing if you're up above looking down just at Prabhupada's house, and this is going on all over the world. But you can imagine if we all got together and the king, our president or the president of the world, in Uttanapad's case, like if everyone got the message that Dhruva's coming home and he's just not a warrior coming home from a battle, all beat up. He's a self-realized pure devotee. So all the more reasons to get the good stuff out, right? And so everyone's taking what's in nature to build arches and garlands and clean the streets and all the things that, and it Prabhupada describes here specific trees and fruits and things. But when I was reading this, now Dhruva's coming. We haven't seen him yet, but he's coming. He's coming. So you can have that emotion of the son that everybody thought, no way, a 5-year-old's in the forest. But now they've heard from somebody trustworthy, from a spiritual person, and they know Narada Muni wouldn't send some just regular old guy. He sent somebody so the king knows it's true. The king is just feeling all kind of emotions. And so is the mother and the stepmother and the brother, Uttama, because they can't believe it. And there's this feeling of joy, and everybody's just changed their complete tune. Everybody was nagging at the stepmom, I'm sure, and blaming this and blaming that, and the son left, and so nobody went to get him. So there's this kind of, I can imagine a little bit of a negative, I'm imagining this, probably I didn't say this, a little bit of negative tone in the village, in the castle. So the kingdom is now complete about face. Everybody's involved. Now, I was in the event business, and I can tell you that I've planned many a parade and homecoming and the president of the university coming, or even a political person, or the Olympics. I was involved in all of those events, planning them, and it's nothing like this. It's very much someone in office writing a check and somebody of the elder people bidding on the job, and a lot of plastic stuff, right? So there's a huge contrast and a spiritual homecoming for a pure devotee versus, say, a football player. When I was meditating this morning, I recalled being in this football stadium at University of Florida, where I was many, many times over the 25 years that I was an event planner, planning for those football players. And sometimes it'd be 2, 3 in the morning, because when you're feeding that many football players and organizing them to come off the field, you start early because they're very hungry and they eat a lot. And they all have dietitians that work with them. So each one has people telling them, you can eat this many ounces of this and this much protein. And so we're cooking all these 200-300 individual meals, plus all the coaches and then all the people that work. And it's just a huge thing. And it's all for nothing. It's for a football game, right? And it's very plastic. The food is plastic, They tell me, they would tell us what to cook and how to set it up and how to pray. They're coming up the steps. I would be out sometimes in the stadium in the dark, and the team was on the field, and I could hear everything because it's a drone. You could hear the vibration, and I would hear the coaches talking to the football players. I'll never forget how it disturbed me, hearing the language. It was degrading, and it wasn't human. And the boys take it because they want to be a winner. They want to be on the winning team. And these coaches are getting paid a lot of money. So that was the way it was. And then they come upstairs to the top part of the stadium to eat and do their thing. And they're beat down. They're just, and this is also, we can have homecoming and say we won the thing for this year, whatever it's called. I'm not into football, but we're the champs, right? And so then the homecoming parade, here we are again. I mean, I worked with CNN, all kind of, you wouldn't believe the amounts of money. And no citizens got involved until they came out to watch the parade and drink and get happy. But the planning of it was in an office in that stadium. And there was no limit to the money that was spent, you guys. It could have been used in so many other ways. And so could all that energy that we put, as my company put into pulling these things off. You're talking about permits and power companies. It's just a lot of stuff that goes into bringing a procession down the main road of Gainesville, let alone Macy's parade in New York, or the president's coming in somewhere where they pave entire roads when he comes. So it's all going on, but it's not the one in front of the string of zeros. So this is totally a good example of the one in front of the string of zeros, because there's no higher purpose than self-realization. There's no higher purpose than serving Krishna. And because Dhruva's mother, Suniti, and him, Dhruva Maharaj, were so fixed and so convicted to, and even though Dhruva started off with material motivation, I want something bigger, I'm going to show them. We've all done that, right? It's easy to kind of have that kind of envy. Well, now it's all gone, because once you have God in the one in front of all the zeros, because the zero would be that Gator football game, or that, at the end of it, it's just a big mess to clean up, and some guys that are going to retire early because their bodies are crashed, and the egos of the coaches, competition. There's not a lot of competition here. Everybody's pitching in. So the streets are full of people. I was just looking at that picture this morning, how on the sides of the trees, two people are making garlands, everyone's standing up and dancing, the whole team's here. But there's a purpose. They're parading for a purpose on kirtan, to spread love of God, to spread the kirtan, the mantra we were singing this morning. So there's purpose. And the purpose behind the president's parade, or the Macy's Day parade, or whatever parade, homecoming, this is a homecoming, this is a real homecoming. It's that perverted reflection. And so I thought, when I was reading this, wow, we've read so many in Krishna book and different books where there's all these parades and all the links it goes to, even arches shaped like sharks. Krishna is the shark, and so it's very protective and warning of no evil negative stuff's coming in here. We're guarded by Krishna because we've seen him. Dhruva saw him, and his mother and father and brother that he all had beef with before. They've all just forgotten all that. And the father, the king, is like got the brother, who's the very root of the problem, that was supposed to inherit the kingdom, and now Dhruva's going to get it. He's seen God, so he's going to win the kingdom and be the king for like 36,000 years. So the brother forgot he was mad. The father put both brothers on the elephant together. And that was huge, because Dhruva, most of the time in our perverted world, reflection of the spiritual world, the coach is going to go first, and there's the lead football player up front, and the losing team's not going up front or with the sitting next to. So it's very rare that you see that kind of sportsmanship. But you could put in a political arena, or the holiday Black Friday arena parade, whatever it is. It's somebody at the bottom of it's making some money and controlling it. And so in this situation, there's none of that. It just kind of dissipated because a true devotee is back in town, right? He's coming home. And when he rules the kingdom, and he will, everybody benefits. So you just need one person. We have Prabhupada, one person, to do all of this movement that right here in Alachua this Saturday morning, we're here because of Srila Prabhupada, one person who knew about putting one in front of the zeros, who studied these festivals, who was in India. He went to so many. I'm sure he knows exactly what he's talking about here. And these pastimes are from long ago, but over time you can see, I'm sure even India, they've cut them back and plasticized them and monetized them and so forth. But when you come here to Gainesville, Florida, in the United States, you're really going to see that lack of detail that's based on love of God and heartfelt stuff. It's more about who looks good, who's going to get social media coverage and things like that. And in the end, all the money needs to go back to somebody. Nobody's talking about money here. So the whole community has become spiritualized just because Dhruva did. So then my meditation when I was reading this was, well, what can I do in my community? And I see what Dhira Govind has done for us. We all know about these. I know about this set of books. I know about Kirtan and Mridanga from teachers in this community who are the one in front of the zeros who put it there and taught me to put it there. And I try my best. But I also know that when I was reading this, I said, I want the pure experience, not the perverted material reflection experience. I want that. I said that when I read this, I felt it. And then I went, but look at my life. It's not reflecting that, it's not reflecting that. So I was like, well, you don't really want it because Dhruva wanted it. And he's only 5. So he wanted it and he just focused. And as he focused, his material motivation shifted. Mine has shifted. I say there's a shift in the last 10 years, but it's not, it's the 6-month thing is quite attractive, to know I could find that kind of humility and peace and love of God in a short time instead of lifetimes. But, Amadini was saying yesterday about, so we have some lifetimes. Yeah. It's okay to have some lifetimes. We don't need to be sauntering around wasting it, but this lifetime I know about right now is what I'm responsible for. And cleaning up my life in this lifetime so that, and I can do it just by hosting the Vyasa Puja and the Janmashtami last weekend at the house with all of the things that have to be taken care of to praise Srila Prabhupada and Sri Krishna in our home at Prabhupada's house in Melrose with like-minded devotees and strangers. And neighbors told me the next day that they rode by and they said, what was going on in there? And so, and then it was so effulgent in our hearts and in this space that we held just in our little group there of our little homecoming, our celebration for something higher than ourselves, that all kind of things happened this week, all kind of things. I posted a few of them on Facebook because I think people don't know what really goes on out at Prabhupada's house. I send Anasuya some things, but it's a lot. So I can't go on about all of it, but I'm just one person, one devotee in Melrose. I don't know if there's any more out there. I haven't met them, I haven't heard about them, but there's a lot of people fighting against allowing the presence of God or Krishna in their heart. And our presence there, me and Anasuya, is to represent what that looks like so that we have several parades in Melrose. And they're not like this. So all this week,
this year.
I've thought about it. It's
December.
it's a little bit, it's politically a little unrest out there sometimes because it's not, anyway, it would be challenging. But so the ripple effect has happened in Dhruva's neighborhood. The ripple effect will happen in your neighborhood, in our neighborhood. And I'm sure it's happening here for whoever drove by this morning and saw us in here. And Brandon, I know you're feeling it because you can't be around devotees joyfully celebrating and singing and eating prasadam and amazing food and reading ancient spiritual text that has the absolute truth in it. And you can't ignore it because it's an energy. It's Krishna's energy. So spontaneous people hearing that he's coming home and just starting what they know they have to do. Wouldn't that be amazing? Yeah. You don't have to email them 6 times and get them to see if they'll respond. You don't have to wonder if they're coming or not. You don't have to, you just cook everything you've got and you just pluck the flowers and the leaves and start hanging garlands and you just go for it. And then the neighbor says, oh, what's he doing? And he heard too. So I'm coming too. And everybody, it just spreads like wildfire, spontaneity, it's a ripple effect. So that's the basis here of these 2 purports for me, 2 verses, is that it just takes one person, and I'm responsible for my one person, and I get to check where I'm at in my relationship with Krishna. And that gears my motivation. And when I'm not motivated, or I'm tired, or I'm got resentment or whatever, shame, it's all in there. I've got accountability with these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people here. And it's I know that I desire to be responsible enough to have a positive impact on those around me. That's why I'm sitting here right now, because if I had my choice, I wouldn't do this right now, because it's hard. And I don't have the depth and breadth of these volumes of, what is it, 18,000 verses that I want to have. I haven't even touched the set that's right underneath of that, so I don't know. And then I'm in Bhagavad Gita class where I love and got inspired yesterday by the first verse of chapter 7. It aligns directly with these 2 verses. So it's choosing constantly to fill up my cup. Don't leave an empty space, because that's where Maya sneaks in. That's where the complacency sneaks in. That's where the mind gets going. So I take my responsibility seriously for the most part, but I did have to admit that I'm like, well, I don't want the perverted reflection. I want to go to this kind of homecoming. And then I look at my past week and how many times I got diverted into a little homecoming situation and was okay with the plastic of it. And I don't know, it's frustrating, but the frustration, like we said with Druva, can lead us to wanting to get serious. So yesterday I turned it up. Turned it up last weekend, turned it up yesterday, came here for Dear Govinda's program yesterday morning, because those 5 a.m. to 9:30 and then prasadam 10:30, at least I can say, well, that part I was focused on Krishna. And then I chanted some more rounds, and then I had listened to Prabhupada in the kitchen while I was preparing prasadam. I went to the 2-hour Bhagavad Gita class, and before bed I read some more again, and then I listened to a couple of Prabhupada lectures. So there wasn't a whole lot of squeakiness in there, but wouldn't it nice to be the whole day like that, right? There's guests at Prabhupada's house right now, and I'm here. So in June, I changed my perspective and I asked God for some guidance. I said, Krishna and Prabhupada, let me know if I'm supposed to be here or not, because I feel like I want to be around more devotees and less hosting of strangers, But then, Krishna just throws me these curveballs out there, because the minute I say that, some amazing people show up that want to hear about Krishna, or like kirtan or chant, or they're curious and they're loving the prasadam, and I think, well, okay, this is my service. So yeah, I try. Yeah, when I told them this morning I won't be here, I'm leaving at 4 a.m. If you hear me, please don't be startled. My car lights light up and shine through the window, and when you hear me downstairs doing morning program, it's the door's open, but you know how it is with 5 a.m. stuff. So the Krishna-centered family is going on at Dhruva's house. Dhruva's father's the king, and there's the center. If the center is Krishna, I don't know if it was a few verses back or if I read this somewhere else, but there's like the hub of the wheel is Krishna, and you have all the spokes, right? And so the family is part of the spokes, the job, the family, the neighborhood is all part of the thing, but the hub has to be the one, right? So Krishna, the family that's in Dhruva's kingdom castle, his father, those mothers are transformed. The 2 mothers, the mother and the stepmother who started all this, the brother is on the back of the elephant, the father and Dhruva and his brother, and the 2 queens are there. Both of them sitting side by side. This is a whole new thing too. Now the one that started all, the stepmother, she's the favorite mom. This is so television movies, right? You can see this from this is how the perverted reflection goes. The mother, the mother of the child Dhruva is praying for him, and she consoled him, hugged him, and told him, "You go find God, build your relationship with God, see Krishna, he'll solve your problems." The stepmother, she started this. Now there's all this disrupt in the castle, so you would think that she'd be like not invited to this thing or something, or in the back, or stay home and watch from the rooftop. But she's up front with their mother, because everything's dissolved. that because there's a hub in the middle with Krishna, and because a transformation of one person can transform a lot of people around. And so these people who thought Dhruva was dead, his family, completely enlivened right now, headed out to meet him. They're not even gonna wait for him to get all the way home. Why would you do that? Like, you wouldn't have the boy come and they're inside having dinner. Oh, hey. So they're like so glad that he's alive and that he's seen God face to face. So they're like even happier. Like, what was that about? Tell us all about it. Excitement, like our son, you can imagine everything gone, everything that was holding up barriers to all those relationships has dissolved, not just in the castle, but everywhere around. So look, I like to meditate on that because it feels like, wow, what a world to live in. The spiritual world is like that. I don't want to stay here a few more dozen, 100,000 lifetimes, or I want to go to the real parade here. So the potency of a pure devotee is here, right? So we need someone to show us because Dhruva's going to show them, I assume. I don't know the whole story, and this is my first time reading this, so it's like reading a really good novel, but it's not a novel. So I'm reading and I never know what's coming. It's really nice to turn the pages, and I'm glad they made a movie with Nishringadev because this is all the same stuff we're watching in movies. It's just so much more potent, and there's so many lessons packed in every verse. You don't have to. There's not even a purport here, but just see when I think of him and his brother on the back of the she elephant. Well, that seems mundane enough, but then when you really think about it, hey, isn't he the brother that started it all? He's the brother that's going to get the kingdom, but everything's changed now. The other brother's getting the kingdom. He's going to have it for a really long time. This one, we are foretold in a few verses back, is going to die in the forest in a fire, and so is the stepmother. We don't know that yet, but Prabhupada told us in one of the purports. So, but today everybody's equal, and that's what we want to learn in Krishna consciousness. Is like that non-duality of everything. Stepmother, mother, no difference. They're both spirit souls. Brother, stepbrother, both spirit souls. So they're affected by Dhruva's pure consciousness now. He's not even home yet. like if you can take it down thousands of notches, and Anasuya's father finds out that she saw God in the forest for real. Like, he doesn't need to wait till she gets home to feel the bliss. There's an immediate shift in energy and excitement and forgiveness. It all just kind of trickles really fast, like that ripple effect we were talking about. So the festivals that we have in Krishna consciousness, Prabhupada wanted them all the time. And so he set up a whole bunch of them. And I know we have them. There's 3 big ones this month, but they're all the time. So if you're not used to this, Brandon, they're all the time. I hope you get to experience 1 or 2 or a dozen this year. They will be happening. They're happening at temples and homes, in the streets, everywhere, all the time. And when we're at a festival, we don't have to. It's less easy to get distracted with our material life. I'm not thinking about scrolling. I'm not thinking about what I got to cook for dinner, or the laundry that's in the dryer. It just that all disappears, and the focus becomes Krishna's birthday or Prabhupada's appearance day, or some story that we've just been read that's totally inspiring of how I want to be more like that and less like this, right? So at the festivals, if you have enough of them, there's not a lot of space in between. By the time you plan them and do all the emails and the cooking and the things that we do, there's not a whole lot to get distracted by. So imagine if we had them all the time. So the more the better, Prabhupada said. So there's no time to get bored, right? So
In trouble.
yeah, in trouble. Yeah. Because it's easy to get sidetracked in this world, and spending time on things that aren't really going to bring us any kind of lasting contentment, happiness, everything, all of it, every one of those football games. Just go back till football started. We might have some trophies up or whatever, but it's gone, it's done. So will this one be. And this president will be gone and done, and there'll be something in a book about him, maybe, if he's did something probably scandalous, it might get in the book. But it's not, there's no point of it. I mean, it could be, if we had Krishna descend and show up for one of these political leaders or coaches. It might. I know they got a new coach at UF that's a very strong Christian, Tim Tebow, and I heard that through the grapevine. I don't keep up with stuff like that, but I like him because he preaches. He preaches in front of everybody. He's a strong Christian. So I heard he got hired at UF in the football department, and everybody knows that he's a strong Christian. So it will trickle down over there some way, but there's a system that he's not going to be able to permeate. I doubt it. If he does, hallelujah. But so let me see if there's anything else we want to look at in here. So Vaishnav qualities, yesterday when Dear Govinda was reading and we were talking about forgiveness, and when we read the 64 qualities of Krishna, I've focused on them in years past and felt like, well, I don't have any of these, and it feels like crap. You're like, I don't want to. How do I look at myself and how do I face this day if I feel like I don't have any of this and I don't know how to get it? You can't buy it. You can't take the pill. You can't. You have to do the work in developing the relationship with Krishna to get there. And I wasn't focused enough. And so, but I stayed with it because of my community. And I'm up here today because of my community, because I don't have a lot of devotional association with other, Prabhupada disciple devotees in Melrose. I made a commitment to come forward and step out of Melrose as much as I can, to take walks with Rosa, to meet with Anasuya, to have morning programs, to do things that I can have more, because inside of me is a lot of energy saying, if I'm going to embrace forgiveness, humility, non-envy, non-dual, like if I ever want to cultivate that, I can't be in my head in my own world, right? It doesn't work that way. I can get some traction. But when I've got community that's reading the same books and trying to learn the same philosophy and trying to embody it, and we've learned through Sabato how to communicate with each other when we have discrepancies or disgruntled or shame or whatever come up, we know how to talk to each other and listen. And listening, we get to know each other, and then we have more support. So everyone's always taking courses and working together in this community. It's really beautiful. And so I live in a place where nobody does that. And so I have so many opportunities out there to lead and teach and guide, from art to prasadam to yoga, walking groups. Like, they all want to share what I've got. And I try to tell them anything I've got that you're attracted to is coming from Krishna. This isn't me. You didn't want it when I was heading up the homecoming committee. They were like, well, what's wrong with her? I was very driven and very stubborn. And I had a mission to accomplish, and it's going to take all day. So stay out of my way. That's how I was. And so coming to now going, oh yes, I can help you with that on the shoot. So I'm going to show y'all have it to you by Tuesday. And yeah, I can get up at 4:00 and I can do things that drive here at 3 or 4 in the morning. It's, if I want it bad enough, I've got to take the steps. And so out there, my devotional association is weak unless it's online, and I get tired of being online. So my community acceptance is like 100% out there. Nobody's thrown an egg at our house or come by yelling at me or anything. And here we are chanting on the porch. We got harmonium. We're up at 4, lights on. I take my japa walk in the morning. I pass people. They're all getting prasadam. Thursday, I heard some people talking outside and went out the door because there were people inside talking, and I heard people outside talking. Look out, go out, see who it is. And it was the art community of Melrose coming over to draw Prabhupada's house.
Mhm.
And so they all in chairs all over the yard, drawing that section of Prabhupada house. So I got the cookies, went out, we had prasadam, I talked to each of them, got some pictures and shared with them. And then the dryer was messed up. Dryer wasn't getting hot. So the dryer guy came while they were here. He came in, gave him a bowl of prasadam, he came in with an attitude. He didn't want to go upstairs. He didn't want to move the dryer. I was busy cooking because I had another group coming. Plus I'm engaging with the outside group. So I didn't have time to explain. I said, I don't know, it's not getting hot. You're going to have to do it. I got stuff going on. But I gave him a bowl of prasadam and took it up to the dryer. And I said, here. And then I had 9 ladies show up at the same time coming for art class and lunch. And I introduced Prabhupada right when they walked in the door. This is Srila Prabhupada. So that all happened before 2 o'clock on an average Thursday. And so it's beautiful. We're doing it, but it's like my heart wants to be here sometimes and chanting with other people and sharing with people who are enthusiastic about Srila Prabhupada. And so Prabhupada has put me there to lead in some form or fashion. I'm doing my best, but I feel when I get distracted, I need to come. And so why not just drive? I listened to one of Prabhupada's classes on the way here. It didn't hurt anything, you know. We're here bright and early. It's dark outside. It feels so clean and crisp to celebrate our relationship with God that time of the morning. So the last thing I'll say, I think, is about this demanding from God, from Krishna, like it could have been Dhruva saying, "No," he started off that way, I want this, give me this, I need this money, I need this fame, I need this wealth, whatever. So there's, in the end, in a very short time, he got on track because he got a spiritual master. And Krishna saw that. He sees the mother and Dhruva praying. So Krishna sends Narada Muni, right? Or does he go on his own? I mean, it seems like Krishna is a blade of grass, right? Narada Muni was, hey, look at that down there. You need to go. That needs attention.
Yeah,
Is that how it works?
it's directed by Krishna.
Yeah.
For sure.
So Narada shows up and he just kind of lands there. And so by that time, Dhruva's shifting, and that's what happens in Krishna consciousness. We shift, we change, we mold. It's often not a 1, 2, 3 overnight thing. It's subtle, it's slow, and we have to be patient. We get to learn, we get to practice patience and tolerance forever. You know, forever in this lifetime, in this material world, practice it. So we don't, it's not a situation where I'm pacing the floor over at Prabhupada's begging for answers, right? I mean, I could. Sometimes I feel like it. Sometimes I do. I don't want to cry, but I do go on my knees often and say help. Because I feel like there's so many choices in my brain. I'm not sure which one you're talking to me about. And so I don't know which one to choose. And I get confused, convoluted with material world versus spiritual guidance, especially in personal endeavors and stuff. Like what to do at Prabhupada's house. And David would say, I'm the temple president. I don't know how to be a temple president. I know how to put a parade together. I know how to take care of 300 football players. Once I fed 1,000 people at Dollar General Warehouse breakfast at 6 a.m., started cooking at midnight. I know how to do that. I didn't even stress me out. But I can't, but when it comes to going, should I do this? Is that what you're saying? Because when all those people showed up Thursday, I called on the Suya. I knew she was at an appointment, but I needed to tell her because the night before we had a conversation, I said, it's kind of feeling like, let's be closer to the devotees. We've talked about it a dozen times over the years, but I said, we had a long conversation about it this week. And then all these people just show up, grabbing for Prasadam and Krishna and happy to be in my presence in Prabhupada's house. And I know they're getting mercy from Krishna and Prabhupada through that experience. If I leave, where are they going to get it? So there's this dilemma of when do I give association? When do I take association? Constantly in my mind. Is this, okay, here comes the neighbor up the steps. If I answer the door, they don't have all the communication skills and boundaries that we know about. So once I open the door, they're gonna share, and it might be my time to give some prasadam and sit down and stop my busy day. And so it's up to me to go, well, I did a lot on Thursday of giving. So now I'm here this weekend. I'm going to take some. I'm taking from Near Govinda. I'm taking from you guys. I'm taking from the kirtan. I'm sitting down and I'm sharing prasadam with my friends in a sanctified spiritual home. And I get my cup filled so I can go back out there. And today there's more. I get beautiful 20 women coming tonight for yoga. And they they need me to be top notch, focused on Krishna, not teach them how to exercise. So I get to have an hour and a half with my community. Huge responsibility. But in my heart, I'll say, well, I'd rather do yoga up there. If I can imagine if there's all devotees and we were doing yoga and we were having a meditation and we could talk about Arjuna. And I do, when we do Warrior Two, I go, you're a warrior, feel it. I go and feel everything in your body, tall, raise your, and I'm like, pull that string back. This is the bow, you're gonna let it go. And I try to bring it in as best I can, but I'm teaching in a Christian church, so I have to be careful with my language. But nobody's there watching me, so I'm always like, what can I get away with, Krishna? But I imagine a devotional yoga, because we all need to, spinal health and posture and things like that, so that we can serve Krishna. So that we can serve Krishna for a long time in a healthy way. And I know from being at Prabhupada's house that everybody out there is a little older. They're in our age group, us older ones, 50s, 60s, 70s. And their bodies hurt. So that's what they lead their conversations with, their ailments, their medicines, their doctor's appointments. And I have to know how to handle that, because I can't hear that. I don't want to hear that. I mean, it's too much to know the whole neighborhood's medical issues. So I have to really, like we did Saturday at John Mastami, we redirected the conversation, and we changed to another room. I have to pull that out of me all the time to people who don't know what's going on. And so that's a strength I need to work more and more on, but I've got ample rolled out carpets to practice on for sure out there, because we kind of have an open door policy out there. Open door. People, 5 or 6 of them have keys and know the combination, but most of the time the door's not locked. So we have the devotee, the guest inside, and we have the neighbors outside. And then we have people that just show up because it thought it'd be nice to drive out to Melrose, or people want to go to the lake, so they're just stopping by, etc. But so many of them, if I could capture it somehow and show you so many beautiful experiences of where people drive up with cars full of stuff. Like this week I got papayas and coconut water just given to me because somebody went to Costco. And they know that, I'm always taking prashad to their house, so they bring some back to my house. So it's back and forth. And the conversations are getting deeper and more intense, and the conversations they're developing, instead of just being that it's taken a long time and a lot of work. But it is putting the one in front of the zero. It's just like Dhruva, it's like, I'm gonna make sure that one's in front of the zeros, and they know that. So the ones that can't handle that don't come. And so I go to their house sometimes and show up with the cookies, because nobody says no to cookies or soup or muffins or whatever, and listen for a minute just to stay, connected a little bit to my community out there. I would love to have more events out there. I would love to also create events with you guys. Rosa and me and Anasuya are working on some teamwork so that we can look at all the festivals and get ahead of the game with our calendars, so nobody can say I can't do it that day because I got a thing I already got. We're going to get ahead, and then we're going to work together as a team so it feels more equitable on the energy expense. And we know we have Dear Govinda's unlimited support, which he knows more than us. So we have a teacher, a willing, loving, capable teacher that we trust. So I'll just end with that parampara line of, we want to be careful where we get our information from. So Dhruva was told by his mother, here's what you do. It's his mother. She knew what to tell him. So he goes. The stepmother said, you can go out there and get some information from God and come back, be born in my womb, and then you can be king. But the mother said, this isn't a material problem. Like, go to God. This is a spirit. This spiritual relief is like no other. So, and then his spiritual master, someone who's bona fide, who knows the truth, who does know God already. He knows Krishna. That's where we want to get our information from Srila Prabhupada. So we have full trust in our teachers. And I know Dear Govinda studies Prabhupada like I'll never be able to. So I know that if I have questions, I've got an expert to go to, and I've got Prabhupada, and there's so much available to us because we live in a world of the internet, and we have the devotees right on this planet in this town that actually knew and spent time and served Prabhupada. So there's no excuse for not knowing some of these things that we don't know. I don't know. It's a lot from a girl who came from Alabama who spent 54 years immersed in material life. Yeah, immersed to the point of not knowing. But just like Drew, I came here because I was distressed. Because you got all the money, the cars, the house, whatever it is, and it's just like, well, there's just didn't. This is it. Okay, I'm 54. I'm gonna do this for what, maybe another 50 years, 40 years, 30 years even? Even if it's 10 years, it just seemed like this can't be it. Like you get the bank account full and then what do you spend it on? Because you have everything. I remember sometimes going on Amazon, this is embarrassing, but I don't do it now, so I just want just to buy something to fill in the whatever was going in my heart that was felt empty. And I don't need, another pair of shoes, more this protein powder, I don't know, what do you need? Like, now I need things like, we just got a new water dispenser filter, they're $68, yeah. I need things now, but that's an important thing to have because we drink a lot of water out there and we have guests. So, yeah, check our sources. Check our sources. And chapter 7 of Bhagavad Gita yesterday is so aligned with these two purports for me. Now, remember, everybody has a different visual lens of how they receive the mercy from Krishna and Prabhupada. But chapter 7's classless yesterday, as I was listening, I kept jotting them down and saying, oh, this is, now I don't have them memorized like dear Govinda, but I know, and I'm telling with you with 100%, without a doubt, that if you read chapter 7, it covers about everything we talked about today. Focus, stay fixed on Krishna. He'll give you everything you need, right? And Prabhupada's there for us. So the devotional qualities, cultivate the devotional qualities, the Vaishnava qualities, because it's not in my blood. I thought it was, that my parents are pretty selfish, self-centered, non-forgiving people. And that's who I spent my life with. And then my sister, same thing. And how most of the people were in my business life, self-centered. How much am I going to get? What am I going to get? What am I paying? When do I get my raise? I want my bonus. If I'll do it, if you pay me this, like that's the way it was. So then to go, well, I want this. I want honor. I mean, that's how it sounded. I want to be honorable so that respect and honor are part of my vocabulary in a way that's spiritual, not that I need to be recognized. If I'm doing the one before the zeros, Krishna will recognize me if it's sincere. That's all I need. But I had to kind of shift everything and learn how, I guess Prabhupada taught me how to believe that it's possible. And then I saw people walking the talk around here. I made a nice video of Prabhupada walking the talk. I don't know if y'all saw it, but I was feeling sassy one day, and Prabhupada, he's always walking. He's got his danda. There's people listening to every word and recording it because it's so powerful. And I was watching all those videos one day, and I was like, I'm gonna put this together. And there's this great song about walking the talk, and I put it with Prabhupada walking. I was like, and even though it's trivial, it's not, because I want to be with people that walk the talk. I want to learn to walk the talk. I can't do it hanging out with the other people who aren't walking the talk. I got to be around, I got to associate. So association huge in Krishna consciousness. And naturally, Krishna recognizes when we're walking the talk, or even when we're just trying, when our sincerity is clear that we're trying, even when we don't know what sincerity is, because when did we ever practice it? When did I get to be sincere about anything? I didn't even know, I knew the word from English class and probably 11th grade. I didn't know what it meant. I wasn't embracing it in my life, like sincerely caring about other people and caring if I finish these volumes of books and showing up here when I really don't want to, because I don't know what I'm talking about. But we can't grow in anything unless we spend time with people who are doing it better than us and we're learning from them. So I'm using Dear Govinda as an example, Prabhupada, all the acharyas here. That's a lot to hold up to. I'm looking at all experts over here on the altar. They've all read and transcribed and shared and changed the world with these scriptures. And then I'm coming to come in here and tell you something that matters. I don't know how that works. So today I just prayed Krishna. I don't know what I'm going to say, but just help me somehow. Hopefully, so, I don't want to waste anybody's time. But I don't grow if I just teach online at Prabhupada's house or with my immediate association. I don't grow. And leading class here online with people I respect and honor, then I listen a little bit better and I take it in a little bit more. And I write more notes and I meditate on it more. When I go to bed, it's what I think about. When I wake up in the morning, there it is again. I get to dive in some more. And that's what I would do if I was learning anything that I wanted to be an expert at, you know? So we'll just end with that beautiful homecoming vision. And the one in front of the zeros, like the zeros, everything is zero. If we don't have purpose and Krishna consciousness in front of it, and our families, our jobs, whatever, our lifestyle. And trying to live less and or live in a consciousness of when I'm in the purity reflection and what it must be like to live in the spiritual world, to sort of cultivate that image of what this parade was like. And choosing not to get stuck or stagnant or stay low in this materialistic parade that I'm in. So Dhruva Maharaj is such a inspiring pastime. It just goes on and on. I mean, it's just every day I'm astounded by what it teaches us. So stop there. Thank you guys for listening to me. To say what I can. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I'll read the two verses again. The sage Maitreya continued. So Maitreya and Vidura are talking. So it gets confusing sometimes. There's layers of sages going back up to the beginning. But right now we're listening to somebody tell the story of Dhruva. So we're not hearing, and sometimes Krishna speaks and Dhruva speaks, but right now it's two sages discussing the story like we are today. And so we could today, let me just make that point, because nobody would be here doing this if they hadn't done it. So we're all here because of these Krishna conscious ancestors of ours. The sage Maitreya continued, my dear Vidura, when everyone was thus praising Dhruva Maharaj, the king was very happy. Of course, he's proud of his son, you know. And he had Dhruva and his brother seated on the back of the elephants. Thus he returned to the capital, where he was praised by all classes of men, everybody on the street, to the office, to the ladies in the back. The whole city was decorated with columns of banana trees containing bunches of fruits and flowers, and betel nut trees with leaves and branches were seen here and there. There were also many gates set up, which were structured to give the appearance of sharks. Hare Krishna. I welcome any questions or comments. I'm happy to be here.
We've got a peek and see who's online.
Parampara.
Hare
Parampara,
Krishna.
we have a group here.
Okay.
Krishna.
I'm curious about the sharks. I don't know that I've ever heard of sharks being mentioned.
I hadn't either, but I know there's a verse where it says Krishna of aquatics, I'm the shark, right?
Krishna is
Krishna's the
a
shark?
shark. There's also the Krishna wears shark-shaped earrings.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of shark imagery in these literatures.
But it being the symbolism, maybe, I don't know for sure, but like the shark is like considered the scariest creature in the ocean, the most ferocious. Everybody talks about sharks all the time, afraid of sharks, fear of sharks. And so there's a symbolism of like, if you put that outside your house, like it's like, yeah, well, what are they is, yeah, there's the fierceness to it, sort of a powerful, like people put lions for protection, I think too. So you see a lot of times 2 lions. So you can imagine, I mean, we should all have some sharks to keep everything away, but it might scare the neighbors away. But apparently back then, I've never heard this before. I didn't look it up, but I kind of looked a little bit to see if sharks were mentioned, but I didn't find anything except for that Krishna is of aquatic science. Yeah. Interesting vision, right? Yeah. Arches shaped like sharks. I mean, they could have just been square columns, but no. Shaped like Krishna. Yeah.
I appreciate your enthusiasm, Laksmipriya, to study and speak on Bhagavatam. And when you said regarding the neighbors there in Melrose, you said they know that for me they're going to get the one in front of the zeros.
Mm.
I was experiencing you channel that spirit of determination of Dhruva Maharaj.
I do, now that I know about him.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm moved by how you're inspired by this stalwart Bhagavatam personality. And I appreciate how, because it's like a one verse with no purport, one verse with a short purport, and really just about the festival. Right? And yes, that's so wonderful how you related it to your experience with catering and lots huge zeros like that. And you connected it there. I was reminded that Srila Prabhupada talked about when Bhagavatam you said has 18,000 verses. So Prabhupada would talk about how once in I guess it will be what was East Bengal, it's now maybe Pakistan, when it was formerly East Bengal. Yes, one thing that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, that spiritual teacher, Srila Prabhupada, he gave class on the first verse, 111, the first verse of Bhagavatam, every day for 3 months. And we can imagine that the whole association is like, well, we're just getting started. And Prabhupada said, like, every verse is just unlimited in the realizations and the nectar. So I'm getting glimpses of that, of how you unpack these verses. It's not just some artistic description, elephants. You say, oh, okay, you got Dhruva and the stepbrother, because like, yeah, in material life you would kill the stepbrother, they'd be banished, but what's that mean? The lack of envy. This is not ordinary. So I'm very moved of how you're delving into Bhagavatam and the richness you're getting and sharing. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, dear Belinda. It means a lot hearing that from you. I've learned, probably not, it has been that long since I've had this realization that no matter what the verse and purport said, there's something in there for me, and for y'all. But for me, when I'm reading it, I'm like, okay, what is it here? Because it doesn't jump off the page every time. So it takes me a long time to read something and soak it in, because I'm fighting with all these things going on in my life, in my head, and my duties at home. So carry it around a little bit with me. You have to carry it around. I carry it around and say it and think about it. And I've got, if you guys saw my desk or even here, there's scraps of paper in my car, in my purse, on the counter, in the kitchen, on my desk, on my bedside table, because stuff comes and you don't know when it's going to come. It comes, a realization comes, a little nip of something that it's, especially if I'm quiet or I'm swinging on the porch for a minute, there's oh, I can, and if I don't pull that out, then I don't feel inspired to just read you from a book. I mean, this isn't just a book, but it's not, it doesn't have, I can't sell you on something I don't have any realization on myself, and I'm not trying to sell anything. This is free. This is free. Yeah. And yeah, it's I have a lot of respect for those devotees that Prabhupada sent out in the original days that didn't have 5 years at Prabhupada's house and experience to go, okay, I've been listening to Dear Govinda and Melanie and lectures online from 6 different teachers at Prabhupada, and reading and reading and reading and journaling stacks of journals. And now maybe I can, okay, like they didn't have that. Just go to England, start a temple, 1, 2, 3, go. And so, yeah. Yeah, it's definitely evolving. Thank you.
Thanks for that point there. Yeah, yesterday with Rose and Vishaka, we were talking about the early days that there was one young follower of Prabhupada, Krishna Das. I think he was 17 or 18. He was maybe 2 or 3 months in the temple in New York, and Prabhupada sent him to Germany, and he started something in Germany. It became the whole Krishna conscious movement in Germany. And so, yeah, so in a very real sense, of course, Prabhupada's always completely available to whatever extent we're ready to receive it. But Srila Prabhupada's so much more available now. That even those early devotees, 1966, they didn't have nectar of devotion. They had the 3 volumes of Bhagavad. They didn't have Bhagavad Gita. They didn't have the Chaitanya. They didn't have any lectures. They didn't have any. They didn't have any of the letters from Prabhupada or the transcribed or recorded conversations. They didn't have the association of others who heard Prabhupada's lectures. So Srila Prabhupada, it can be said, is much more available now. I remember a few years ago with Prabhupada, that was a theme of his offering to Srila Prabhupada. I heard you give a class on that, Prabhupada. So that's because someone said, "Oh, Prabhupada's not available." He's more available. And so
Our fingertips, I can just call them up right, like, I can YouTube him up right now, any subject I type in, either it's, you know, what would we do? It would have been tough, I don't think I would have made it. So I wrote that in my message this year, like, I don't think I would have made it here, I'm in a time where I have people that knew you in person, pure devotee, talk to me. And tell me how awesome you were, and what their experience were, and then I've got all these books, but I have YouTube. And that has made in that little radio thing that we have in the kitchen now, it's like, makes a difference to just constantly. But I couldn't even have done that a few years ago, like it's like any other thing that I'm sure with your drumming, Brandon, you pick up and you picked that right up and went on to town, but to really master it, you want to go to an expert, right? And say, okay, there's some in this town, if you want to, the Mardanga experts, and you're gonna go there and you're gonna practice, and it's gonna evolve. And the beginning part's always sticky because we feel like it's hard, and I'm not very good at it, but I still want to do it. So I just have to do it, being not very good at it, and not focus on what everybody thinks or what's going on. Just do it. Just practice. Yeah, it's kind of like that.
There's for myself, there's this thing of parallels. I was going to comment on how poignant your professional life and the examples that you gave, and in comparison to the verse. I thought it was, I don't know, it added a certain depth, especially for someone who's not familiar with the material at all. But also, I'm thinking of there's a certain parallel of you're saying you have to kind of like sit with the material and carry it around with you and let it kind of think on it.
Percolate.
And music is the same way.
Yeah.
Especially like Beethoven, for me, just listening to his catalog and reading his letters and all that kind of stuff over time, certain things will kind of lift out of the material. And then I was thinking, you're doing your professional life, you lived a life that you no longer relate to now, and it sounds like it served you then, but certainly doesn't serve you now on the path that you're on. But thank goodness, thank goodness you lived that life to be able to make that reflection. If you hadn't done that, I don't know how meaningful.
Most of those skills carried over.
Yeah,
I just
right,
use the same
right.
skills. I just use them now to worship God instead of worshiping myself and my banking. My ego.
I'm glad you made that transition, and I'm thankful that you had that story to tell. It was very helpful to hear.
Oh, good. Yeah, you can relate. Yeah. The percolation that needs to happen when we first hear something or first uncover new information or something that resonates with us. We know it resonates, but it's 2 boys on the back of an elephant and some trees, some decorated streets. Like, it could be really, the depth could, yeah. But because I trust, I know the depth's there, like you do with Beethoven. I mean, you've got a vision of what he was, what he was going through and his emotions, and so you can go there. So there's more than what's on the surface, right? Yeah. So we take time. We choose to invest time, because time won't just show up and roll out like in my life it does, and I don't think it does. Like, it just, there's time for mundane stuff, but to sit and meditate on what's behind this, what's underneath it, how do I relate to this in my life, and how can I express it so that others get me, and those kind of things. Then it requires, japa meditation like we were doing this morning, and I saw you sitting in the chair focused in, and like, if we don't create time for that, it might be a japa walk, it might be a nature park, it might be a canoe ride, it might be just sitting on the front porch, it might look like a lot of different things. But it's not coming from here, for me, it's not, I think when we're talking about relationship with Krishna and Prabhupada or Beethoven, or ourselves, like there has to be space for it to cultivate. And then it's almost like once it starts percolating, then their answers are just everywhere, right? And then no matter what I play on YouTube or who comes over as the neighbor or what I'm cooking, it's in there. It's in all of that, and it's experiential, and it comes alive to the point where I'm I got my apron on writing something because it's just coming right now, and I'm afraid in my job I'm gonna it'll get sidetracked. Yeah, I can see musicians doing that. I mean, the few that I know, I've known a few, I can see they're the kind that say comes when it comes. Yeah. And so we're talking about a relationship with our spiritual master, with God, with Prabhupada, with Krishna, with all these acharyas, the 6 Goswamis I was looking at this morning, and I just took a glimpse at them when I was standing there, and I thought, oh no, I don't know if I can uphold what you guys have done. Like it's a lot. Like if you're gonna go out on the stage and play something from Beethoven, you've got the same, it's like, well, everybody knows him and he's good. And this, we're talking about absolute truth here. Like, what am I doing up here? But we go out anyway and just keep doing it, and somehow find our way, and pray a lot for guidance, for help, for surrendering to not knowing everything, surrendering to not let my ego be in charge of this, and my brain. It's not a brain thing. Yeah. Yeah, you might be the best, you might know all the music theory and make an A plus and have a PhD in music theory. But can you rock my world if I'm in your home listening to your music? Yeah, or you're on stage playing for thousands of people. Can you rock their world in a way that's, well, the rock concerts might be compared to the UF homecoming. It's like, it's not a one in front of the zeros. Now, maybe you're grabbing their attention, you've got something to say in your lyrics, or if you're doing a kirtan festival, we have one here, Brandon, I don't know if you've ever been, but in Alaska, we have a 2-day kirtan, it's 2 whole days of it, and it's on Thanksgiving weekend. But the best kirtan leaders in the world show up and sing, and there's hundreds of people, and it's like a vibrating transcendental sound everywhere. So that would probably really intrigue you, because you would see something it's different from what's on stage from regular old top 40 whatever music's out there, and even classical, it's beyond that. Yeah, so I invite you to try that and we had a little energy going just with our little group this morning in here, you could feel it, right? Yeah, me too. Thank you, that was great. That was really nice to be in your presence with you drumming and never picked one up before. Yeah, thank you for sharing. Anybody else want to say anything? We're at 9:24.
That Kirtan Festival grew out of Sattvatok.
I've heard that. That's amazing.
True story.
Yeah, what can we do when we set our minds to something? That same energy we use for the football team, we can use for. Yeah.
With the Life Mastery Program, Community Impact Project.
Mhm.
Govinda Sire, Krishna Don Allen and Gora Allen back in 2008, 2009. And that was their project, and now it's become the worldwide major kirtan event.
I've taken guests from Prabhupada's house there. You know what they say, Brendan? What's everybody taking? I mean, literally, like the guy was curious. It's like, what's everybody on? I go, no, we're just doing it. Like, get in there, get up in the line, and we push them up there. Maurizio was here, and Maurizio took him into the den where all the men are dancing, and that guy just let loose. Never said anything. Like, couldn't believe it. We were all just having transcendental love of God and dancing and singing kirtan.
It's a Stay High Forever program.
Yeah.
Well, but first came 1965, 66, and then hippies and tune in, turn on, drop out, and that whole thing. And so one of the first pamphlets they printed was called "Stay High Forever." Because the idea, yeah, well, again, don't you ever want to get high like that? So here's something, there's no external substance, and this is we got a process. We got to stay. There's no crashing the next morning like that. So it's the Stay High Forever program.
Does it feel complete? Melissa, you want to share? I'm good. Melissa? From. We'll close this Bhagavatam class. Thank you all for being here. I'll just end with the Sanskrit for verse 53. It's on the board if you guys want to say it with me. Vayamanam janir evam dhruva sabrataram vikra aropya karinim rishta stuyamano vishatpuram. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna Parampara.
Thank you, Lakshmi.
Well, during Bhagavad Gita class yesterday, I made us some snacks for after this gathering, so I hope you guys will stay for it.
Yeah, prashadam, and also we have prashadam from last night because we. Yeah.